Testing, testing, testing. 1, 2, 3. All right, everybody, welcome back to another Friday night live stream here at Christ-Centered Ironworks. I hope everybody's just excited to be here as I am. How are you doing, Jess? Are you excited?
Yes, I am excited.
I'm excited. So, for no particular reason other than to just give some stuff away. So,
Yeah.
so tonight, if you're just joining us, this live stream is our very first live stream of the year where we will be giving away the very first gas forge that we are giving away during the year of the forge. So some lucky winner is going to win the very first one that we give away this year. We also have some blanks that I'm going to be giving away as well, just in time for Valentine's Day. We've got some heart bowl blanks and whatnot, and some heart hook blanks that we're going to be giving away as well to help get you kick-started on your Valentine's Day projects. I know it seems crazy to think about Valentine's Day when it's so cold and, you know, I've still got my Christmas decorations up. It's a little bit crazy to think, but yes, it is right around the corner, isn't it, Jess?
It is.
Oh, and you'll definitely want to get in on those fairly soon, those Valentine's Day projects. If you're anything like me, you'll wait until last moment and then be like, oh fudge, there is not enough time. So who all do we have here, Jess, this evening?
Let's see. We have Nutty Iron, Justin Ray, Timothy
Nutty Iron,
Spence.
Justin Ray, hello, hello.
Paul Spruce says, be a good gift for an 83-year-old wanting to learn blacksmithing.
Woohoo!
Well, glad to have you, Paul.
Yeah, glad to have you.
Mad Mr. Fox says hello. David Reednor, Clayton Pierce. And Chauncey Redding says, how cold is it there?
It's supposed to dip down. I don't even know what it is right now.
Probably
I think
like
it's
10.
I think it was like 10. I think it's 10 degrees right now.
Fahrenheit.
Fahrenheit, and it's can they see it like dragon's
Yeah.
breath?
Yeah, they said Jess looks cold when they started chatting. Yes.
Oh, yeah. So it's quite cold. I'm in an uninsulated, mostly open air workshop. As you can see, there's some light cracks between the boards for, it's an old dairy barn. And yeah, it gets cold every winter.
And yes,
people ask, don't you get cold in there?
that is snow back there.
People say there aren't any stupid questions, but yes, there is. Of course you get cold in an open air workshop that's only 10 degrees.
Billy on Air says, I hope there will be a small rant.
A small rant.
A small rant. There's at least one, normally 2 to 3 good-sized rants in the live stream, so you can look forward to that.
Yeah, just whether it tickles my fancy or not. Before anybody asks, no, absolutely not have I preheated my Anvil, nor will I ever. Okay, so there you go. There's the first rant. That's the micro rant. There you go.
Oliver Newdorf, yes, we have some mods around. Anybody with a blue name is a moderator.
Yep, anybody with a blue namer, blue namer.
They're a blue namer.
Everybody with that blue namer there is a mod. But yes, so there's the blue names are mods.
Thomas, you are now a moderator. I just realized you weren't, so
Hey.
you've been bequeathed with the title.
Moderator. There you go. And then there is also the other highlighted names with badges right next to them. Those are channel members. Those are people who support us on a monthly basis and make our videos possible. So you'll see those pop up from time to time in here as well. So this is already good and hot, the piece of bar stock. We're going to go to camera number 2. And what we're working on tonight is a traditional beginner's fire poker. This is liable to be one of the first projects that you tackle as a beginner in smithing because it incorporates a lot of the fundamentals of forging. So I'm going to keep it simple and quick this evening and make a really nice fire poker. Ready?
Yes, ready.
All right, camera number 2. So first off, we're going to make sure it's nice and hot. And we're going to put a 1-inch taper on the end here. You can draw this out as thin as you like. Again, I'm trying to make just the traditional version of a basic fire poker. Make it simple first, and then elaborate as much as you like. So there we go. The starting stock size is 3/8 inch square bar, or roughly 10 mil square for those of you around the rest of the world. So there's your 1-inch taper on there. I can clean this taper up. I can spend some time making it really nice and tidy, making sure that the facets or the break line between taper and flat looks really nice. I can work on that and planish that up at this darker heat. In camera, it actually looks colder right now because there's a big bright light shining on it. So it makes it look more black than what it otherwise would be.
When we first opened up, we had a question on how the giveaway works.
Okay, good. So, the way the giveaway works, like it always has worked for as long as we've been doing giveaways, is we will draw one person at random from the comment section who is actually commenting on this video while it's live. We won't contact you after the video or the live streams ended, anything like that. You have to be here and present, and you have to be actively commenting in the live stream chat. And we draw one person at random. We just scroll around, find a name, and boom, Bob's your ankle. Bob's your ankle. Uncle.
Bob's your ankle? You named your ankles?
Yeah,
this is
Bob's
new
your
news.
ankle. This is going to be one of those missed word streams for sure.
That's right.
Yes, Bob's your uncle, Mary's your aunt. That's how it works. Then after we mention your name, you have 48 hours to get in touch with us to claim your prize. So that means you have to contact us through the contact email down in the description box below the video.
Mm-hmm. Yes, also the main giveaway item, the Mr. Volcano Forge, we have decided this year to open it up outside of the U.S. So in addition to U.S., we're willing to ship it to Canada, Australia, or the U.K. So those are the additional places that you have a chance to win from this year.
Yep.
And then the remaining of the door prizes, those we will ship anywhere internationally as well as the United States. Brittinghammer Forge, thank you for the $10 super chat. David Walker, also thank you for the $5 super chat. And I forgot to mention Stephen Watkins, who started us off with a $5 super chat, said, "It's Friday night, let's light it up. Hello from Minion Smithy."
Thank you all. Thank you very much. Thank you, Stephen Watkins, as well. Greatly appreciate that support. That's how we fund these giveaways. That's how we pay for all that illustrious shipping. That sometimes costs way more than the items themselves. Oh, that's how we do it. So thank you. Thank you all very, very, very much.
Robert Lannis, glad that you got your order safe and sound. Yeah, we always try to throw a little extra freebie in there. Nice little free gift for you.
Yeah. So go ahead and do it. We'll go ahead and do a shameless self-plug. So for those of you who know us, some of you don't, many of you might be new. We actually offer blacksmithing blanks over at blacksmithingblanks.com. You can go check that out. I'm sure Jessica has some sort of link in the description to that. We offer all sorts of different various blanks, from skillets to spatulas to ladles to hooks to ornaments, you name it. We offer all sorts of blanks over there. And what we've been doing for over a year now is we always try to give a little extra in each package. So maybe you get something that you thought you might wanted to try, and hey, surprise, there it was, right in the package. So so anybody who does go over there and checks that out, that's another great way of supporting the channel as well. And we always make sure that we add a little bit extra in it. Just our way of saying thank you. Ain't that right, babe?
That is right. Somebody asked about seeing the Valentine's blanks. We'll show those a little bit later on.
Yep.
Also,
Unless they
want
to see it now, or
if you want to.
Well, we'll do a little later on. Go ahead.
Okay.
Continue.
Questions about the metal. What type of metal are you using, and will there be a forge weld involved?
Yes. So, the metal that I am using is mild steel. It's 3/8 inch square, mild steel, hot rolled mild steel. It could be cold rolled too. Doesn't matter. So basically, like your structural steel. And I am going to be putting one forge weld in this, and it'll be at the very end of the bar. So it'll be on the very end of the bar to take and draw out the point of it. So we'll be showing that here in just a second. This is a great kind of level up project if you're just starting out. You know, you've made some nails, maybe you've made some hooks, you've made some sharp, flat, and pointy objects, and you're looking to add dimension actually to your work. This is a great little project that kind of helps levels up your game a little bit because it incorporates a forge weld that's a fairly easy forge weld to make. And then it also incorporates nice clean tapers. It has a lot of that. It incorporates twists. You know, you might put some twists in it. And it incorporates bending and all of the other things, or maybe some punching. Depends on what you want to do, and you can let your mind go wild. So there's a lot of techniques that go into it that can be very beneficial for you. So this is nice and hot. Let's go over the anvil, Jess.
All right.
So I have a bit more of this heated up than what I probably really need. But I'm going to come out and I'm going to set out, I don't know, about that much. I'm going to use the hardy hole. Yeah, about that much. Usually I don't. I just kind of guesstimate and go with it. So we're going to go about right there. Bring it up high. Hopefully you guys can see how I'm bringing that up to create a nick in the bar. We'll flip it over. And we'll bend that right back down onto itself. Before I take it too far, I'm going to go ahead and brush any excess oxidization I have on the piece off. And then I'm going to close that up to where it's sitting nice and flush upon itself. Now that's prepped for a weld. So there's a balance between function of this spike that goes out on your fire poker and the length of that for function, and also the length of this to keep this tiny little end out of the fire while you forge weld the other end. If this is a lot closer and you got a little tiny spike that sticks out, this is going to be more readily. Let me grab thing here. This tip, if it was down here, it's going to burn more readily in the fire than if it's back here. So I can focus a lot of my heat right here in this area and get this area forge welded together while this stays out of that higher heat environment, because smaller steel is obviously going to burn quicker than the thicker bar stock down here. So we'll put that back in the fire. And we will bring that up to a welding heat.
Mad Mr. Fox says, Roy, you should use the Mr. Volcano during this streams.
I thought about doing that. The Mr. Volcano would have been good to take and use, probably, but it also gets quite loud. So if I bring it up to a welding heat, it's quite loud at a welding heat. Versus at a forging heat, it would be just a little louder than what this forge is right now. So that's the consideration for video work. I'd be mouthing.
Yes.
You wouldn't be able to hear me over the roar of the forge. So,
right.
So kind of have to pick my poison, so to speak.
Yeah, that answers Stephen Starlin's question too, where his question was, why are you using solid fuel over gas?
Yeah. So the question, there's always a great debate, or it has been forever, about gas versus coal, or solid fuel, if you will. That way it encompasses more fuel sources than just coal, or gas. And the answer is quite simple. Most people gravitate towards one or the other based upon their particular situation in life. You may be in a neighborhood or something like that where you can't have big plumes of smoke bothering and irritating your neighbors, so therefore you opt more for the gas forge. Likewise, you could be out in the country and you opt more for the coal forge because you're in coal country and it's cheap, right? And your forge fuel's super cheap, and who cares how dirty it burns. So there's several reasons for picking one or the other. In my shop, I am not a forge snob. I don't care. I'm a professional shop here, so I don't raise or put on a pedestal any of my equipment. My equipment is to get my work done and get the jobs accomplished for my clients. It's not there for me to obsess saying this one's better or this one's worse, subjectively anyhow. I don't make those type of judgment calls. So you're gonna have to get ready to go to the Anvil, Jess.
All right.
This is about up to heat.
Okay.
I'm taking a little up extra high. I like to reduce the air, so we're working in a reducing environment. Right here towards the end.
We're there.
So I got that very end welded together. And keep any forge junk off of there. I'm gonna go stick it back in the fire. On the camera, that looks brighter than all get out, but in real life, it has already gotten down to more of an orange, bright orange color, which is way too cold for it to be welding. So I just stick it back in the fire, bring it up to another welding heat. I'll work my weld back a little bit, and then I'll start drawing out my taper.
Mm-hmm. Question from Jeremy Graves says, ooh, I love bees. Have you made a tutorial for the bee hooks? Well, we have bee keychains and bee hooks.
I have not made a tutorial for those yet. I'd be interested to see how you get on with it though. Mostly, if I were going to be doing it, I would most likely for a bee hook, I would use a little curved fuller and make little segregations in the body, and then I might use a little teardrop tool and drive out the lobes of the wings. So this way they kind of have the little, I don't know what you call them, the little structures that form the wings. That's kind of how I would end up doing it if I was going to make a bee hook.
Jarvis?
All right, we ready?
Yes.
Let's go to camera number 2, please.
All righty.
Now it's important on a fire poker that you don't draw out the point too thin. There's no point in going super, no point. There's no, excuse the pun.
Dad pun.
There literally is no point in going too thin with the tip. This is going to poke a fire. There we go. Drawing that out a little bit better. I think I'd feel more comfortable with about one more weld down in here. Take it up one more weld. And dress that out a bit better.
Let's see. Timothy Spencer says, do you sell bar stock on your website?
I do not. I do not sell bar stock on the website.
Dan Bledsoe says, is the borax used a special kind or the same thing that Walmart sells?
So I don't use borax. There's 0 borax on this piece. The only time I do use borax, I use anhydrous borax. That's different than what you can actually get through like your 20 mule team. Before I started learning my fire and knowing how to forge weld without flux, I used to use 20 mule team borax all the time. That's what I started with. That's what I cut my teeth on forge welding with. So you can use that. You'll have mixed results. If you can get anhydrous borax, it'll be better. There's all sorts of other brands with all sorts of concoctions that are basically anhydrous borax that you could go with online. It's really kind of just dependent on what you want to get into. Flux is not needed. The controlling of the atmosphere in the forge is what is actually needed. For the majority, I would say about 90% of forge welds. And especially on a weld like this, you shouldn't even need flux unless you're spending a lot of time demonstrating, where you're talking and your piece is spending a lot of time getting oxygenated like mine is here. Flux might be helpful in that case. Or if you have a piece that has multiple little areas that scale can get trapped in, flux would be needed in that to help expel that, clean that joint for welding. It would be needed in that case as well.
Jarvis says, I already bought the forge with your affiliate link a couple of weeks ago, and its second layer is drying now, so don't pick me.
Woohoo! Well, awesome. Glad to hear that. Thank you for buying that through the affiliate link. That does help out the channel as well. Thank you very much for that. If you don't want to be picked, don't comment during the time that we start picking random people.
That's right. Zachary Sowell says, any tips on doing this project in gas?
So all the forging will be exactly the same, except when you go to doing your forge welds, you will have to tune your burner in order to be running an oxygen neutral environment to slightly rich on the gas, to be running it as a rich environment when you get it up to doing the forge weld. So that's really my only advice on that. All the forging will be basically the same. The only real big difference that you may see in it is that with a coal or coke forge, you can build smaller fires, so heat more intensely in one little area, versus in a gas forge, you're going to get a lot more of the bar hot in general for forge welding.
Timothy O'Connor, thank you for the $5 super chat. He says, shipping fund, or is it kilt fund? I dinna ken.
Well, thank you. Thank you for that. Shipping fund. Money. All right, let's go to the anvil, Jess.
All right.
All right, that's good enough for that. All right, so now on the next heat, I'm going to heat this up. I'm going to try to focus more of my heat back in this area, and then I'm going to clamp the tip in the vise, and I'm going to run a slitting chisel down to pry or to prick out that little barb there on the end. And we'll just stay at the main cam for that. I don't know if people can see it to here. Can they see that okay?
Yeah, yeah, that's just in the corner.
Is it just in the corner? Okay, so hopefully that'll work out okay. Let me do a little bit of setup here. Get my slit and chisel.
Heath French asks how you get a hold of cold rolled steel.
Through your regular, through your regular markets that sell steel. Sometimes you don't have a choice. You know, hot rolled is generally preferred by most because it's cheaper than cold rolled or cold finished steel, they will call it. They don't call it cold roll from what I've found. They call it cold finished, or CF versus HR steel. So whenever you look at it, it might be 1018 HR or 1018 CF is the letter designators there. And or it might be A36, and it'll have a little asterisk HR or CF, depending on what they did post, forming. They do that final forming of it to size. In a cold finished, it's going to be more accurate. It's going to be more accurate to being 3/8 dead on, versus in a hot rolled finished type bar, it's going to be less accurate. So you'll have some variance or some tolerances. For blacksmiths, we generally go with the hot rolled mild steel because we don't need the precision that machinists do when they start with their bar stock. We're not precision craftsmen. All right, we'll stay at the main cam. I'm going to go over here to the vise. I'm going to grip the part that I don't want to bend out down in the vise. And I'm going to use my slit and chisel to help bend my spike out. Nice and quick. Shouldn't take but a moment to do that. And I might want that to go out a bit more, and I probably will. Can they see it over here?
Uh-huh, yep.
So I'll heat that back up and give it another go.
Let's see here. Chauncey Redding says, how do you know if it's burnt?
It will get all pimply, crusty, and crumbly. So your surface will become very pitted, and if you forge out a pitted surface out into a fine taper, it'll fracture and crack and form cracks along the edges, the corners of the square material. Those are all good indicators that you had burnt or roasted something. Another good indicator is just watch it in the fire. If it comes out and it's a ball of fire and it's just sparkling all over the place, that's burning steel. Burning steel, that's high temperature steel, steel that has reached its melting point, that is interacting with the oxygen in the environment, and it's throwing them big old sparks like that. So that's how you can tell.
Casey S. says, how hard is it to forge stainless?
Very hard, unless you have machinery. I am not a fan of hammering on stainless by hand hammer. I have made them I've made the mistake before of accepting a job before I had power hammers and tools where I had a lot of stainless to take and pull out. I wouldn't say it was a mistake. It was a good job, and basically it was a vine-wrapped motorcycle, a custom Harley I worked on for a client, and it ended up going on to winning several awards and Best of Show and some other stuff. But it was forging 3/4 inch thick stainless steel for some of the thickest parts, and then 5/8 for other parts of it. And to pull that all out by hand, to draw out 16 to 20 inch long tapers to make a vine was brutal. My elbows never forgave me. Elbows never forgave me on that one. So, all right, I'm gonna go right back to the vise here. Still yet.
Okay.
I'm gonna grip it back in the vise again, and I'm gonna give it out. Go ahead and hammer on this a little bit. Can they see me all right?
Yep. Uh-huh.
I don't want to go too far out with it. Now you may be asking, well, why wouldn't you just do that in the anvil? The reason why is because I want a nice controlled bend exactly where I want it. I can put it on the anvil, but right now, as you can see, my heat's back in here as well. Are we, camera, are you sticking with me?
Yes.
All right. As you can see, the heat's back here as well. So if I start bending on this, this is going to go wonky on me. So I don't want that. So I'm gripping it by the tip and only forcing out the part that I want to work on. So that's a pretty nice poker end there. A little back swept to it, which I like. Brush that up nicely. As you can tell, I'm doing this after the heat. This is one thing that I see a lot of beginners getting wrong, if you will, is brushing during their heat. as there's no benefit to doing so, because it's just still creating scale as long as it's at a scaling heat. So there we go, nice and clean. See how it sheens and shines? You brush and planish at a red to black heat, and you'll get that nice sheen to it and have a really nice, clean, professional looking job. And since this is mild steel, I can work out any little hammer blows I don't like at a much lower heat than what you would do with high carbon. So there you go. One nice poker end, done.
Voila.
Voila. So I'll let that cool for a second. And then I'll move back up the bar. It's a good thing, it's a good practice to get in a habit of early on when you're first making items like this. It is a good practice to set your steel to the side and let it cool down naturally versus quenching off the end. Even if it's mild steel or bar, or you think it is, or some sort of structural grade steel, it does have just enough carbon in it that that scale on the surface of it will actually harden up quite a bit, the scale layer that's on top of it, and you'll burn up drill bits if you ever have to go drill one. You can create a lot of weird stuff happening with it. So it's good to just let it rest and cool down naturally to the side of the fire. Get your things set out that you're going to do for the next process, and then pick it up again. And once it's kind of cooled down enough where there won't be any phase change, then quench off the end. Or whatever if you need to grab a hold of it. But don't get in the habit of taking something to bright yellow or orange and just quenching it. It's just no good for the steel's grain structure, and it's no good for the finished integrity of the piece, especially once you get into structural ironwork later on. Always let things cool naturally if you can. It's worth taking that extra time.
Aimless Adventure sent a $5 super chat and says,
Thank you, Aimless.
Please explain what burnt steel is.
What burnt steel is?
Uh-huh.
Okay, burnt steel, well, it's a broad topic, so I'm just going to give you the very basic end of it. Steel that is burnt is steel that the material has reached at such a high degree of temperature that the oxygen is getting in between the individual molecules of the steel, and it is it's basically advanced rusting it. That's burning steel in a nutshell. When you add a lot of oxygen to heated up iron, it rusts away very quickly or rapidly. And so when you pull it out of the fire and it's at a super high temperature and the surface has a bit of moltenness to it, it's got a bit of molten material on it, and you pull it out into the air and the environment, you'll just see it start throwing sparks all over the place. The surface will get all bubbly. It's decarburizing. It's it's getting over oxygenated. It's just throwing scale like you wouldn't believe. And that's what that is. It's steel that has been heated to a high enough temperature that the air in the environment, whether in the forge environment or out here in the atmospheric environment, is being able to interact with it and eat it away. Think of it like a cutting torch. Cutting torch works on the very same principle. So you get the steel really hot in one little specific spot, and then you apply an air blast to it, and that air blast then creates, basically you're burning away the steel at that point. It creates a super fast rusting process. So there you go. That's a very basic layman's enough way of explaining what burning steel is. There's probably all sorts of metallurgical things you could get into and scientific definitions of what burnt steel is.
Simeon Beeler, thank you for the $5 super chat. He says hello to everyone.
Hello, and thank you. Thank you everyone for supporting us with the super chats. Greatly appreciated.
So we're about 35 minutes in and about 200 viewers.
Sweet.
Would we like to give away something?
Yeah, let's give away some blanks, huh?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. After I wipe my nose. It's cold today.
It is cold.
Alrighty. So, bring them over here to show real quick.
All right.
Go to camera number 2, Jess. So what we've got to give away today is we have 3 different size heart bowl blanks that we're going to give away. We have a 4-inch heart bowl blank. Are we at camera number 2?
Yes, we are.
We have a 4-inch heart bowl blank. We have a 6-inch heart bowl blank that we'll be giving away. And then we have an 8-inch heart bowl blank that we'll be giving away. We also have 2 sets of 3 heart hooks. So you can turn these. My favorite way of making these up is to stamp the letters, drill a hole in the center, and put in a Phillips head screw. So a Phillips head screw or a plus mark type screw it makes it look like it's a, so like for Jessica and I, it'd be R plus J. Or if you turn it on the side or diagonal, it's R times J, right? So you could take and do that, and it's kind of a nice way, kind of a bit of an homage to the old tattoos people used to get. In fact, my dad has a tattoo like this. It's a heart with my mom's name in it, and it's got a arrow shooting through it, if you will. So, but yeah, so that's kind of my favorite way. You can, obviously, you can put anniversary dates or whatever you want on here, stamp whatever with letters and things like that, and then you just bend up the hook. Easy peasy on that. So we've got 2 sets of those to give away as well. So do we want to start it off with a 4-inch heart bowl blank?
Yes, that'll work.
What do you think? What are people saying?
And it is, yes, it's CNC cut, plasma cut.
Yep.
And open to the UK. Yeah, these are open worldwide.
Yep. This year, just about everything. We have a few other calls to make to talk to a few other companies yet. But this year, as of right now, all of the stuff that we are providing personally ourselves, we're buying the Mr. Volcano gas forges and we're giving them away to you. And we're supplying blanks or any of the tooling that we go out and buy from other people and go to give away. All of that is open internationally. So the gas forge, the main prize this year, is going to be open internationally as well as here in the United States. That was one of the biggest gripes about the last 2 years was people were like, oh man, what about me in Canada, you know? And so we always felt bad about that. So are we at the main cam? Or
Yes,
are they
we
just
are.
busy
Yeah,
looking
main
at
cam.
me dawdling around at the anvil here?
No, I
I'm
switched when
looking
you
for
started
my
addressing.
other hammer. There it is.
Can't lose your hammer.
Nope. I'm going to use this one to ring the anvil today.
All right.
So the way this works, for those of you that have not been around, we can go to camera number 2, Jess.
All right.
I'll state what the piece is. We're going to give away a 4-inch heart bowl. I'm going to ring the anvil, just like so. When I come to a stop, Jessica, my fine, beautiful wife there, she will pull one name at random from the comment section. So we go back to main cam.
All right.
So that means she's going to scroll back and forth real quick using her little mousy deal, and wherever she ends up, that's the person who ends up winning. And they have 48 hours to get with us through our contact email in the description of this video. So not in the comment section, but in the description of this video. You will have to contact us. Okay? We can get into that rant later. All right, we ready?
Yes, we are.
So this is for the 4-inch heart bowl blank.
All right.
Are they commenting?
They are. They are commenting.
Good. Who do we have?
We have Jeff Killian with blanks, please.
Haha, Jeff Killian. Congratulations, good sir. You are the winner of the 4-inch heart bowl blank from us. Thank you for being here and thank you for the support. Oh, all right, let's go ahead and give away a 6-incher.
All right.
Sound good?
Sounds good.
So this is slightly bigger. Hopefully everybody can see that on the big screen there. Yeah. So this one's slightly bigger, and you can use this as a nice candy dish, as where the other one makes a great ring dish. So we're going to go ahead and do this. Ready?
Yes, ready.
Are we ready?
We are.
Let's go. Who do we have?
We have Derek Ardron with heart blanks, please.
Derek
Ardron, I think.
Ardron, or Derek, you know your name. It starts with R. R something. Jessica, type it out there in the
I did.
the comment.
Yeah, I'll tag him here in a minute.
Okay, tag him there.
Uh-huh.
So, you are the winner of the 6-inch bull blank. All right. Let's go ahead and give away some hooks, shall we?
Yes.
So this is going to be for the pack of 3 heart hooks. Pretty simple giveaway, huh?
Yeah.
Pretty simple rules.
Be here and be commenting.
Just about anybody can follow them, huh?
Just about.
All right, here we go. This is for the heart hooks. We're going to see who wins. Who do we have?
Mad Mr. Fox with Heartsy Fartsy. I just wanted to hear Jess say it.
Who is it again?
Mad Mr. Fox.
Mad Mr. Fox. Congratulations, you are the winner of a pack of these 3 heart hooks for your Heartsy Fartsy comment. Oh, you got Jessica to say it. So we'll draw some more of those here in a little bit. Get those out of the way. Put this back up.
Let's see. Did I ask you already? There's a couple of people asking your favorite, or no, your hardest project ever that you've made so far.
Oh. Well, that is a toughie. Hardest project. Hardest is in frustrating.
Most technically difficult.
Most
probably.
technically difficult project. Most technically difficult project to date was my Baroque hammer that I did. I did a ton of chasing on it. If you all haven't seen that, you could go back and if you go over to my Instagram, there's there. If you type in Baroque hammer, you'll see a video as well on our channel about it. And I would say that that was the most technically difficult. Right next to that would be the Baroque sign bracket that I made, the French Baroque sign bracket that I made for BAM, the BAM conference. That was pretty involved and was nice and challenging, doing gold leaf on, you know, the acanthus leaves and things like that. So those were both things that kind of pushed me to different levels that I had to, different levels of meticulousness, not just in forging but in finish work. So I felt like those were really great projects there as far as difficulty ratings are concerned, most complex. As far as difficulty, I would say I've done quite a few large basins in my time, and you know, large copper basins. I would say probably the difficulty rating was one that I did a long time ago. It was a steel bowl that was going to be used under a person's entertainment center for catching remotes and, well, whatever they feel like throwing in it. And it was 2 feet wide and 32 inches long at starting out of 1/8 inch thick plate. And I had to get the whole bloom thing hot to get it to shape because it was kind of, think of it, it was a long rectangle and it was more like a curved taco, if you will, with curved ears on it. And man alive, I chose, that job came in on literally the hottest week that could be. It was 102 all week long. I couldn't get it in the shop, so I had a big forge I made out of a 55-gallon drum outside the shop. And so I'm standing in bright dead sunlight, working over multiple wooden stumps and bringing that whole piece up. The amount of heat that came off that piece was absolutely unreal. I melted 3 separate face visors. I put a visor down that, you know, like those plastic grinding visors, and I melted 3 separate ones of those on that job. You know, just the radiant heat coming off. I cooked my clothings. My pants caught fire once during that job. It was hot.
Yeah.
Hot. That was probably the most difficult job, as far as physically difficult job I've ever done. everything else has been fairly tame, and generally, if things come up like that, I've been doing this long enough now that I don't jump on any job that rolls down the pike. So back then, I had to. It was a state of survival, right? It was a matter of survival. My kids, they like to eat. And Jessica too, right?
Yeah.
You like to eat from time to time,
Yeah,
huh?
I think so, yeah.
Just on occasion?
Tim O'Connor says some of those acanthus leaves look crazy hard from your sign bracket.
Yeah, they're their own level of difficult. There's things you could do to make them easier, but they're still definitely difficult.
The Baca Maker says the baptismal font, the really deep one.
Really deep one, that baptismal font, copper one. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would say. Oh, by the way, I should just mention what I'm doing here. Are we on the main cam or the?
I was switching back and forth. So
all right, we're at the main cam here.
Main cam.
Right? Can we go to the main cam? So all I'm doing is I'm laying out about 20 inches from the tip. That's completely arbitrary. This thing's longer. If you want your twist to come up dead middle of your fire poker, figure out the math between each end. My suggestion in that case is to forge one end, flip it over, forge your other end so you have your eye or your hoop or whatever you're doing on the other end, and then in between those 2 points, figure out exactly where center is, and then put your twist there. This is completely arbitrary because I don't have a particular length I'm shooting for on this one, as it's just a demonstration. But obviously, if somebody wants a fire poker that is 48 inches overall, you're going to need to take and add some extra material. Remember, you can always cut some off. It's hard to put it back, so you always start a little bit bigger. This, I just came up 20 inches, and I figured that's about right to start my twist right about there.
Heath Miller sent a $5 super chat. He says, I like to pre-chill my anvil before making toilet spoons, wink. Thanks for the great advice and extras on the blank order.
Very welcome, and thank you so much. Thank you so much for bringing up the toilet spoon yet again.
Coco Talbert says, I'm scared to ask what a toilet spoon is.
Oh, it's something guys are trying to get me to do now that I've mentioned it. It was a rant. It was a rant about bad photography in the blacksmithing world. And yeah, I mentioned about taking a picture of that spoon that you just made and setting it on your toilet, to get it. And then, yes, that's where that started. People want me to turn it into a toilet spoon challenge, which, go figure, there was actually such a thing called a toilet spoon, historically speaking. So,
Greg King says, is it just me or does that anvil seem extra large?
It's not just you. It's an extra large anvil. It's 465 pounds of North German beauty.
Gary Graham says you have to measure twice, cut once.
Cut 3 times, weld twice, and then you're good.
Let's see. Couple of people were asking about what you're going to be doing for the design. Did you go over that already? Whether you're just doing a twist? Somebody had requested a basket twist, but
for what design?
For part of the fire poker, like the handle or something.
Oh, for the design, it's going to be a simple fire poker. I'm just going to, for the center, I'm going to just put a twist in it, and then for the handle, I'm going to give it a nice grip handle to it, and I'll show that here in a little bit. It's like just a small kind of whispery, comfortable grip that somebody can use.
Thank you everybody for your comments earlier on the videos I've done. I've only done a few. I did forging some copper handles. That was like 2.5 years ago. I've also done some ornaments. I did the Celtic bracelet on our channel and some enameling videos and a bit of copper work as well. So yeah, I think I have a playlist. It's like Forging with Jessica. I think it's got about 10 videos in it.
Can they see me better now?
Huh?
Huh? Can they
Yeah,
see
that's
that
a
better
lot
now?
better. Yeah, that's better.
Okay.
Craig Sr. says, measure with a micrometer, mark with chalk, cut with a chainsaw.
Heck yeah. All right, we're going to just stay at the main cam.
All right. Oliver, it is 5:51 p.m. here in northern Michigan, Eastern time.
All right, for my twists, I like to keep them short, about 3 inches at the longest. So that's what I'm going to do on this one. We're going to just go right round and round with it. And for this particular one, I'm going to really twist it nice and tight. Just because we can. As you can see, we've used a little twisted action to add a little bit of dimension to our piece. I'm going to put it in the vise. We're going to turn it on the diagonal or the diamond. We're going to squeeze it between the jaws, one direction, rotate it the other direction, squeeze it again, and that should give it a that should square it up somewhat. As you can see, it's still got a bit of a bow to it. The way that we'll fix that is we'll go to the anvil, and we will actually use a rawhide mallet to hit it while holding it up off the anvil slightly. Just to get everything square and back in plane. This also gives you a chance to inspect your work. You want to make sure, are we at the secondary cam?
Now we are.
What are you doing, girl?
Sorry,
I'm
just
right
reading
here.
comments.
I swear, folks, this isn't our first time doing this.
Sorry.
That's why it's like, why is she lost this evening?
I know. I was too busy reading their interesting comments.
Oh, that's going to be your excuse. Oh. The main thing here on your twists that you want to do is keep them nice and clean, keep them short and to the point, and you want to make sure that this plane right here, the plane that's on this face, is lining up with the plane on this face. You don't want this to still be kind of off or canted to where you've got the corner up in here somewhere and a flat here. Hopefully that makes sense. You want them both to be squared back off with each other. Give that a nice clean look, nice clean brush. Just like so. And then you can sight down it like a piece of 2x4. And there's all sorts of wonkiness in that you probably can't see right now. But I'm going to heat that up one more time and take a little more time to straighten that before we move on to the next step. So as you can see, I'm breaking this down into parts, right? So we did our first initial taper. We bent it back on itself, right? We nicked it and bent it back on itself. We forge welded it. We pulled out another taper. We let it cool a little bit, or we pulled out the other taper and then bend out our spike. We let it cool for a little bit. Now we're working on the twist. We're going to get that straight, and then we're going to move on to the handle end. And so as long as you do things in a progressive nature, little bit of progressions at a time, step by step, you can break even the most complex projects down to their basic elements and still be able to conquer them and attack them.
Harold Hotchkiss, yes, we have a video on the pointer. I believe it is titled How to Forge a Hand. That was about 3 years ago, I believe.
Happened to be the first person on YouTube to do that, by the way.
Manga 12 says, how about a rolling mill project, Roy?
A what?
Rolling mill project.
Rolling mill project. Well, that would be interesting. I will probably get in on that when I have a need for one. As of right now, it's nowhere in the near conceivable future.
Army Soldier 1972 says we need a day in the life of a blacksmith's wife videos.
Needs more than the blacksmith wife's day in the life of blacksmith wife.
Uh-huh. It has been quite a while. Tim O'Connor, you caught me. Yeah, I was working on the poem. I did not come prepared with a poem this time, so I was trying to search one up last minute.
Got her.
You got me. Crazy Uncle Nick says, what are a few good anvil brands?
You can do no wrong with a Holland anvil, Reflinghaus, Pettinghaus anvil. There are all sorts of good Farrier anvils out there that I have not gotten to do any testing with yet. I know NC Tool Company puts out a decent anvil with the little big face and short sugars and sugar mamas and all. They were really big on that. I don't know why, but you know, their branding. That there's some good anvils there in the Farrier department. Trenton anvils are good. Fishers can be a good anvil if they are good fishers in the first place. Vulcan can be a decent anvil. Again, if it was a well taken care of one and wasn't beat to all heck. But yeah, brand new. I lean more towards the this kind of European pattern anvil with the tapered tail on it. Obviously, the Achaio anvils that I have reviewed so much, they are definitely a great option if you're just getting started into it, because they don't break the bank, and they are a really good option for you to get started with until you buy that dream uberly expensive anvil someday of your dreams. Getting this straightened up. Are we at camera number 2?
Yes, we are.
Keep her honest, gentlemen. In the comment section. Start yelling at her if you see her drifting a bit. All right, that's way better. So, give a little advice here if I can to folks. Far too often do I see people, when they're trying to straighten something, hammering endlessly on the anvil. And what you'll see, and what I mean by that, is you'll hammer here a whole bunch, and you'll look at it and, oh, it's bent that way. You'll turn it over, you'll hammer there a whole bunch, and then you turn it over, it's bent that way, and you turn it over, and you hammer that a whole bunch, and you turn it over, and it's still bent that way, and you keep on going, and so on and so forth, and you keep hammering on this piece, trying to get it flat and ironed out. You cannot flatten things with a hammer and an anvil when you make contact. As soon as that piece that was bent originally makes contact with the anvil, it moves no longer. It then pushes, you are starting to displace material. As soon as it contacts the anvil surface, it starts displacing material. So what does that mean? The kinetic energy wants to flow through the piece this way and this way. It meets resistance here and here, presumably by your hand and by the end of the bar. And so it backs up, and what does it do? It jumps up off the anvil, and your forces come up this way, and it gives it a bend. So every time you flip it over, you hammer it, it still bends. You hammer it, it still bends in the direction that you're hammering from one direction here. So if you're a blade maker or if you're an artist, it does not matter what type of smith you are, stop hitting it once it makes contact with the anvil. It will never be any flatter than it is just there. One way that you can take care of that is actually to hammer over a hollow spot. So if you've got an anvil that's got a bit of a sway in its back, you can turn your piece that way, and wherever that sway in its back is, put your bend over that. And it helps you straighten pieces out if you have a tendency to hit on the anvil and bending stuff around. Hopefully that makes sense to somebody out there who might have been struggling with that. So I set that aside.
Thank you, Dan Bledsoe, for the $10 super chat. Says thank you for sharing your knowledge and trying to help everyone.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the super chat, and it is my pleasure.
Abigail Pierce says, what about using a flathead hammer?
Oh, flat face hammer. All smithing hammers should be slightly crowned. So there is no flat face hammer. Now, if you're talking about a flatter, or I said or a proper smithing hammer should have a slight crown to the face. If you're talking about a flatter, we can go to the camera number 2, Jess.
All right.
So, say you're talking about a flatter, right? That should have, ideally, an almost perfectly flat face if you can get it. If you have a perfectly flat anvil with a perfectly flat face, and you can spread that over that area, you don't mind working the whole piece, you can iron a piece out the same way. But if you look here, see how this face is still smaller than this face? You're still going to get those bends as soon as it makes contact. This here is to help iron out surface finish things, hammer marks in your piece. It's not to straighten things or flatten things. It's to flatten hammer marks, not bends. That's not what this tool is used for. Some people will try it, and you can try it at home and use a nice big flatter and try to flatten something out, and you'll still end up with a bend in it. Because as soon as that bend makes contact with the anvil surface and you're applying force on it where it's squeezing between your two faces here, you are displacing material, and it has to go somewhere. And so physics just dictate. You can't escape the laws of physics with it. So that's the difference there. Now, as you can see with my regular forging hammer, hopefully they can see it okay. I'm going to try to put it here. Can they all see that slight crown?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And it's ever so slight. This is a square-faced hammer. None of the special rounding hammer business or anything like that. This is a square-faced hammer, and the only thing I've done is I've rounded off quite to a heavy degree the corners more than anything. But the actual face itself, if you set a ruler across here, you can see just a gap of light from this edge to this edge going right to the peak in the center. And it's just an ever so slight, almost imperceivable to the eye when you look at it. And it's done that way in all directions. And this way, you get a nice, smooth look to your hammered piece. If this was sharp-edged, even if it was radiused, you would have chop marks. So you can't get away with just radiusing your corners. You'll end up having chop marks in your work, regardless. You have to make sure that the whole face has a slight, very, very slight, imperceivable crown to it. And that will help you get very clean results in smithing.
Mitchell Edwards says, how about using a vise to remove a bend?
Yep, I just did that not too long ago. The vise is effective if you have good clean jaws or copper jaws like I have on my vise. I have some copper jaws in them right now. It's just a piece of copper bent over them. Because a lot of vices have cross-hatching in them, right? And that cross-hatch for grip, and that's bad because now that cross-hatching bites into your twist that you've had. So my vise has that same problem. So I have gotten good at fixing it with a rawhide mallet. You can fix it with a wood mallet over a wooden stump. You can do the same thing there and get things ironed out pretty darn flat. And it's just mainly sighting down it like you would sight down a 2x4 at the Home Depot or wherever you're at in the world to make sure there's no twists, bends, or bows to it, right? And you use your eyes to dictate what there is square and flat and plumb and level. And with a little bit of practice, it'll be really super close. really super close. Not like you could put it on a lathe or anything and turn it afterwards, but you're gonna be really close. Really close.
High Desert Forge says, Roy, are there any tricks to straighten out thin round stock like 3/16 inch diameter that was previously bent into springs? How do you get the kinks out?
So if you're trying to make chisels or punches or tooling, which I'm assuming you are on that, forgive me for assuming, I never uncoil my coil springs. I used to. I saw a video once. It was like one of them old videos that they played at SOFA. And it was a guy that was showing how you could, there's a guy in his garage and how he straightens coil springs. And he'd throw it down over a bar he had in the anvil and he'd pull it straight out. I'm like, whoa, that's a neat trick. I ought to do that. And so I did, and I kept getting cracks and having all sorts of problems with my coil spring after pulling it through like that. And this is even prior to heat treat or really any forging. You could just see surface cracking in the material. A lot of springs go through a lot of headache and hassle in life because they're on a vehicle going 90 plus down the freeway, right? Hitting bumps and everything else. So they're really stressed out by the time they come out of service. So what I do instead is I actually cut sections of coil spring, half moon sections, and I straighten those out. I cut a half moon section, say I might take a quarter piece, a pie mark, and I straighten that out. Round it up, cut myself 2 chisels or punches out of it, and we're good to go. That's how I straighten up the coil spring. Some would say that that's a little slower. It's not really. You can cut with a zip disc all them hoops right up in half and away you go. Just take one zip disc straight down the pile and you'll have a pile of a bunch of little curly cues that you can then just straighten right out. Super easy peasy. And as far as the rest of it, since it's a round object, if you have the luxury of having a swedge block with nice round swedges in it that would fit, that would help keep things round as well. Once you've got the initial bend straightened out, you could then hammer on it lightly while turning in that swedge and get it nice and smooth, if you will. Hopefully that helps.
Yes. Michael Rowland, yes, I have a torch by me. I also have a heated jacket and pocket warmers, and I'm pretty good, actually. Mr. Coffee, hi, good evening.
Hello, Mr. Coffee, sir. Good to have you in the house there, in the forge, or wherever you're at. Painting?
Could be painting.
My slack tub is frozen solid.
Are we getting ready to do another giveaway?
Yeah, we're going to have to because I got to wait for this to cool yet.
Okay, yeah, it's 6:09.
6:09 already, eh?
Mm-hmm, yep. Let's see, here's another question while you're getting your stuff moved around. Billy on air says, how did you get me to try forging? He'd love to get his wife into it. The advice I would give is either forging jewelry or like pretty things, also like dainty, like, you know, women don't want to be wailing it with everything they have, you know, something that's a little less strenuous. Yeah, like the Celtic bracelet is a really good one to start with. Even just making like some necklace pendants that are just textured, you know, that's simple and just kind of is a good start. Bowls are really nice too. I like working in copper, and there's lots of finishes you can do, especially with torch firing, and so that's a lot of fun too. David Reednor. Oh, do you want to go? Well, it's a different question. If you had something to say, go ahead.
Okay. Well, I was going to add on to that about getting your wife to start forging. I have taught several female smiths in the past, and I can speak a little bit to this. I've ran classes where the majority of the class was female, and by far the most common thread that I heard throughout all of those was that they weren't sure that they'd be able to take the class because they didn't know if they would have the strength to do so, right? So guys, as we are guys, we are more prone to like, let's grab the big heavy hammer and let's hit big hot steel, and I'm monkey, hear me thump, right? Right? That's kind of our shtick when we first get into it. We're drawn by the smoke and the flame and the heat and the sparks and the fire, and we're drawn by all these things, as where women, I have found, are more drawn by the art portion of it, the ability to just create something beautiful, whatever that may be, whether that's a knife, a sign, a ring, a necklace, a bottle opener, or whatever. They're more drawn to the creative aspect right off the jump. And so I like to explain it just like this. Blacksmithing is not a brute force endeavor. There are parts of it that are brute force, but for the majority you can get tools to do that. Presses and power hammers and, your husband to swing the sledgehammer for you, right? Or whatever, because he'll like that. He likes the brute force thing of it. But really, it is more important that you have good hammer control and accuracy with each hammer blow. You don't have to go kill the material. And so, just like if you were going to teach someone how to, can't say it because of YouTube censors, but, pew pew, right? Say if you're going to teach somebody how to do that, you wouldn't start them with the biggest, largest caliber you could find, right? No, you'd start them on something small and harmless, right? That they could get the sense of accomplishment of hitting the target, if you will. So you would not, you wouldn't start with the, a ginormous one that's, world ender here, right? Or shoulder ender. You wouldn't start with that because then it just turns everybody off to it altogether. Same thing with blacksmithing. There's no reason why anybody beginning should start and pick up a 6-pound hammer or a 4-pound hammer or a 3-pound hammer for that matter and start wailing and whomping on steel. You should pick up a much lighter hammer and get used to the process first and then go up or down in size based upon that, engage that for yourself. And so that's what I would like to say about that, is that if you're trying to encourage your wife to do something with you, make it less about you and make it more about her and her interest and what she may have, and they bring her along for the ride, showing her that it's not this big, heavy, sweaty, hard-hitting kind of thing. Right? That, no, she can make some cool, brackets for the living room or door handles or, right? Things like that.
Yep. Yeah, I like, Roy has a 1 3/4 pound hammer. I can use that one, but I fatigue pretty easily. I prefer to use about a pound hammer, and then I do have like a little 10-ounce hammer for stuff that's daintier that I'll use.
Yep. All right, any more questions, or we want to go on to the giveaway?
I believe we can go on to the giveaway.
All right, we'll give away a few more things.
All right.
And then we'll finish her off with the taste de la resistance. Huh.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to go ahead and give away a 8-inch heart bowl now. Again, you can get these blanks over at our website, blacksmithingblanks.com. Don't you like how it just sounds like an infomercial?
It does.
Get these blanks at blacksmithingblanks.com. Buy now! Sale! 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 She's probably at the main cam, isn't she?
No, I'm not.
Okay, good.
I can go there.
I'm busy staring over here into the distance
Like,
with a joke, and she's like, ha, ha, ha. We're looking at the side of his head right now. All right, so we're going to draw one random lucky winner there in the comment section there.
All right.
Who's actively commenting. And are we ready?
Yes,
are they commenting?
They are.
Okay. Who do we have?
We have Jazzy Boo 1212 LOL with heart.
Heart.
Yes.
Congratulations. Jazzy, whatever.
It's kind of a long one, but Jazzy Boo.
Jazzy Boo.
Jazzy Boo for short.
Something, something, something. Congratulations. Get with us through the contact email down in the description. So, all right, we ready?
Uh-huh.
So here's camera number 2.
Yep.
All right, so now we're going to go ahead and giving away the last pack of 3 heart hooks. Again, just in time for Valentine's Day, if you will. Or if you're really lazy, save them for Mother's Day.
Birthdays, anniversaries.
Birthdays, anniversaries. You did something bad and need to suck up to your significant other. Aries. So, go back to the main count.
All right.
So let's go ahead and draw for those now.
All right.
Who do we have?
We have Robert Poglich with a icon of a heart with a little cross inside of it.
Robert Poglich. Poglich? He's been around forever.
Yes,
So,
Poglich, I think.
Poglich. Robert, get with us. Contact email in the description, please. And we will get that shipped out to you pronto.
Pronto.
All right.
There for a second I thought somebody was saying something about the Arctic side of blacksmithing, but they were saying the artistic side of blacksmithing is interesting.
Yep.
It is. It kind of is Arctic blacksmithing right now. And I found the perfect poem, you guys. I'll read that towards the end. It's called Under the Spreading Cyber Tree.
What?
That is funny. It's a poem off of Anvil Fire. They have a whole section with stories about blacksmiths.
Well,
so
don't
it's
give
cool.
them your source.
Okay. Don't go look it. Stay. Don't leave.
She's going to give you all her sources. They won't even.
They'll go over there and read ahead, huh?
They'll read ahead. Can't do that. All right, so we've got a nice looking twist on this. We've got a nice poker end and a point. Now it's time to go ahead and put a nice handle on this. So my taste in handles has changed over the years. If I get the choice of doing a handle, I like adding a full body handle to hold onto on a fire poker versus just doing a simple eye. So I'm going to give you a different example other than just doing a simple eyelet type fire poker handle. I find that it's just nicer when you're working with the fire to have a full grip handle to do stuff with the fire, shift things around versus just having like a little rat's tail eye on the end here. So still super easy to do. In fact, for most people, they will probably find this easier to do than the actual eye with the rat's tail on it. So the only key thing here, can they see this against me? Is that all right?
Yeah, it's
the only
fine.
key thing about this handle, you need to make sure that it is going in the proper direction. The direction that it needs to go in is we're going to bring it around this way, which is on the poker side of things. It'll be bad if you go this way on top. It'll hold weird. So you'll see that here in a moment when I pull this out and we do it. You want it in the direction that you're going to be using the hook on the poker end, or the barb of the poker to roll logs around. You want it to face that direction down.
We are currently at 210 subscribers, sitting at 6:19 p.m. Eastern
210
time.
subscribers? Or viewers.
Sorry, viewers.
I was about to say,
You're
man,
like, wait a minute, we lost everybody.
We just made a whole lot of people angry. We're at 210 subscribers.
Yes. So we still have the Mr. Volcano Forge giveaway that we're doing.
Yep.
And we're going to give away a few stickers as well. The stickers are just kind of our standard Chrysler and Ironworks stickers for now. The design is still underway. Dana, if you're here, it's still in process. Hopefully I can get with you in the next week to have our new sticker made up for the Year of the Forge.
Yep. All right. Get something more to drink here. Questions, Jess?
Sure. Let's see. George Galbroth asked, is charcoal better than propane?
No. Charcoal smells nice. You can cook some nice steaks over it after you're done using it. As far as regular coal goes, I wouldn't cook steaks over regular coal, preferably. As far as propane is concerned, propane's just propane. It's like blasting something with a torch. As I had said before earlier on, is I'm not a forge snob. I'm not one to take and tell you one is better than the other. In fact, for the most part, charcoal is mostly outdated as a forged fuel. There's very little resources for charcoal. Some people live in big forests and things where they can get softwood charcoals and things of that nature. But the good hardwood charcoals that used to be out there have practically been, decimated. So, depending on what part of the country you're in, that may be your only option. Propane is pretty much everywhere. If you're looking for a solid fuel forge and charcoal's your option, then go with it. There's nothing wrong. People have been smithing in it for tens of thousands of years, so for sure. All right, let's go to the anvil.
All right.
So I've been burning this up a little bit while jibber-jawing. All right, so I'm going to flatten this end for the most part. Just using full face blows there. And then I'm going to flip it over. And I'm going to use the cross peen of the hammer to help spread this out a little bit. This is going to make a nice little place for our thumb to catch. If you don't want to do this part, that's fine on your fire poker. You can just flatten it out and it'll be more like a ribbon versus a fishtail on the end. So I roasted that quite a bit, but I was still able to forge the majority of that out. So it's good. Just have to pay attention to it as we go on from here. So that's the first stage.
Very good.
Get this hot again.
2 questions for you about knife making. I'll read them both off to you and let you answer them.
Woohoo!
Michael Rowland says, I've not seen any videos on knife making per se on your channel. Do you have a playlist for those? Also, Jazzy Boo says, when are you going on Forged in Fire?
You did that on purpose, huh?
I did. You guys wanted a Roy rant. Here it comes.
So,
buckle up.
So there's a good reason why you don't find any knives on my channel. I am not a knife maker. They are something that have never really held a lot of interest for me. Really early on, I tried to beat sharp, flat, and pointy like just about everybody else, and I got bored of it in about a half a millisecond. So I made 3 or 4 really crude shanks. I wouldn't even classify them as knives. So I made some really crude looking ones, and yeah, I just had no interest in it. I didn't like messing with handles and gluing up stuff, and it just has no interest for me whatsoever. So I strayed away from it from about moment 1. I think I had 1 year where I made a handful, like 5 separate little knives, and that was the end of that for me.
Oh yeah. If you guys go back to our Facebook scroll way back, like a decade plus ago, you'll see them. They're still on Facebook. You have to go dig deep.
Oh, don't dig that deep,
our
please.
Christ-centered Ironworks page.
They're terrible. So anyways, yes. So I did that at one point. I don't make knives. I have no interest in them, and that's why I've never done them on YouTube. Anyway, so no playlist there. And as far as Forged in Fire, reference my very first question. The very first question that's just now been answered. So let's go to the anvil.
All right.
Oh. If I went on Forged in Fire, it would simply to be there just to spoof the knife making community, and that would be it. I would literally go on there, forge a blade shape. I would forge a blade shape, and then I would turn it into a scroll or a flower pot hanger or something else like that, all within their 3-hour time limit window. Of course, I would have the benefit of being eliminated in the first round. am probably a social pariah at any sort of blacksmithing, knife making event ever again. But oh, would it be hilarious and worth it though. Oh.
Gray bearded veteran, Roy's photo in the icon there is from 2017.
Yes.
Yep.
He's probably commenting.
He says you looked younger.
Zero beard, and I was about 60 pounds lighter than what I am right now. So.
Matt Wyeth says, Roy, would you ever do a live stream using your your Hardy power hammer?
I do not have my Hardy power hammer. I sold it off years ago. So no. If I still had it, yeah, I would do that.
Don Maddox says, do you ever wonder how different our lives would be had Jesus been a blacksmith? God bless us all.
I think they would have been oh so much better. All right, go back to main cam. So this is just me fussing about with this. I've put a nice long taper on this piece. And as you can see, I've just worked this into having a nice little fishtail out there at the end. This is a preference of mine. Again, you wouldn't have to do this. It's totally up to you. But it's not very difficult to do. So, I shall clean that up nicely. All right. Questions, Jess?
Yes. Billy on Airs asked.
Who?
Billy on Air said, do you have a video on your coal forge, like the blower you use, and what kind of clinker breaker it has?
Yes, I do. There is a bunch of them.
Yeah, just search coal forge blower with Chrysler and Ironworks in the search bar also, and it'll pull it up.
Coal forge blower, coal forge upgrade, various things. I've talked about it quite a bit. The blower that I'm using, since you're here, is a Dayton blower. It's made by the Dayton Company, not Dayton, Ohio, but it's just called Dayton Blower Company. And I believe it puts out 120 CFM, I think it is. It's a little underpowered for things like larger work where you want to do forge welding, but I would say anything like what we're working on right now, up to say about 1-inch material, it's perfect for that. It provides just enough air to be able to heat up enough mass of, forge fuel to be useful. So.
Ian Clark says, can you tell us your thoughts on Anvil bases?
Anvil bases? Huh. Well, I guess if you had a specific thing you were looking at there. Thoughts on Anvil bases. The Anvil base that I've got going on right now is a tri-legged base that I've got for Olga. I would much prefer a solid base underneath an anvil if you know that it's going to be permanent. At my last shop, I didn't know if I liked the layout where I was going to be at, and so I put it on a quote-unquote movable stand. Now, obviously, after doing so, you can realize the absurdity of that when you consider that the stand itself weighs 350 pounds. Olga weighs 465 pounds. So, pretty absurd that I thought I was going to move or shift it around. So I would say that didn't really work out the greatest there. I have done stands out of pipe, a large pipe section, square pipe section with a welded plate and fabricated base, and fill it with sand, that kind of thing. That's probably my least favorite. They are much louder, and there's nothing supporting underneath the actual anvil itself. Again, if you could have like a concrete pillar that comes up, or a good solid wooden stump that fits the full base of your anvil really nicely, and it's down in the ground a good 4 feet, that's going to be your best option for really securely mounting your stand. Other than that, just a standard heavy wood stump block is good enough. I've also done stands where if you don't have any big heavy wood stumps around, but you got your local hardware store, you can get yourself some treated 6x6s and bolt them all together. Construction adhesive like liquid nails, and bolt them all together, through bolt them together, and come up with a nice wooden square wooden stand that way as well. So that's my thoughts on that.
Rob Huff wants to know if you've preheated your anvil.
There you
Always
go.
stirring up trouble, Rob.
Well, it's fine. I'm sure that there's all the beginner groups out there now on Facebook, all having these same type of discussions. And the facts of the matter is, preheating anvils is a complete waste of your time, energy, and potential wrecking the temper in your anvil. It's nonsense. It's nonsense. If you get in a train and you get on a freight train and that freight train's running down the road at 1,000 miles an hour and it hits a cow in the middle of the road, or all of a sudden it just slams into a wall, an immovable object, it's going to not feel a dang thing. It doesn't matter. Same thing, what if that train is coming down the road and it hits something and you're on the tracks and you're doing 30 miles an hour, but it's still doing 1,000 miles an hour. Is the result any difference? Nope. I can answer that for you. Nope. It has everything to do with delta T. Delta T. Same thing. What if you were doing 90 miles an hour and that train was doing 1,000 miles an hour? Does it matter? Nope. Nope. It doesn't. So, and to say that specifically, because I know that there are some big brains out there, some big nerdy type guys, I'll be like, well, actually, let me preference this real quick. So the reason why I say that it doesn't matter is, yes, it does make a difference. If this anvil, if Olga, I've been forging on her this whole time and she's still negative 10 degrees right now.
Yeah, I'll bet.
If I were to be able to heat this up to say a few hundred degrees, just below the temp where I would wreck my temperature, my temper on this piece. This piece that's coming out of the fire is between 1,900 and 2,000 degrees, somewhere in there. It's going to make no discernible difference when I bring it out here and I start wailing on it. I'm not wailing on Olga's surface trying to get Olga to move. I'm wailing on the hot piece trying to get it to move. So it will make no discernible difference whatsoever. Now, let's say if it was negative 10 degrees. Again, it does not matter. The temperature difference is so far apart that you can't bring them close enough that you will have a visual or a felt in hand difference whatsoever. And trust me, I'm willing to back my words up with actual, factual, empirical evidence. It'll be coming here soon. I have a video on that exact thing. That there is zero, and I do mean zero, difference. Now, is there actually a physical difference? Well, sure. Yes, there is. But will you notice it in your hand? No. It's so insignificant. And that's what I hope to show in the video that I've got coming up soon. That it's not worth doing. All right, anvil.
All right. Anvil.
That's always a perfect rant all winter long, huh?
It is.
Because why? People still believe in that nonsense. All right, so here we go. I'm going to go ahead and roll out the little fish on the end. Just giving it a little back curl, not a ton. We don't want to hook the hand or anything. And then I'm going to stick out roughly 6 or so inches of material, and that's where I'm going to put in a bend. Now the bin's going to eat up some of that material, and that's why we're putting out so much extra material. Don't make the mistake of just sticking out like 3 inches or something like that. That won't work nice. I'll put this back in the fire.
All right.
Get her hot.
Let's see, we have a couple of super chats.
Woohoo! Let's go with those.
One is from Scoundrel. He sent $5 super chat. Has your
Thank you.
Has your opinion on a best first project changed over the years?
You know, I would say my concept of that has changed. Yeah. You know, so I used to think like in the terms of projects, right? I used to think like, okay, hey, what's the next project I need to learn in order to develop my skills? And years ago, there was a man by the name of Wayne Apgar that taught me to think a lot differently about that. I learned in class with him. I asked him, I said, you know, what can I do to learn the most I can, to get the most out of this class? I was at a scholarship in Touchstone. I didn't have a lot of money, so I didn't know if I would ever be able to take another class a day in my life or not. And what he told me was basically profound. He said, focus on the process, not the project. The process you can go anywhere with. You can apply to anything. The project, you just learned how to make a neat thing, whatever that may be. So in a hook, for instance, or in this fire poker, we're employing fundamentals of forging. You don't escape it. Anything that I've ever made that has been super ornate, tens of thousands of dollars for clients, all the way down to the simplest and lowliest hook I've ever made, has never escaped the confounds of the 7 principal fundamental forging exercises that we do as blacksmiths. It just hasn't. And so, my concept has changed quite a bit around that for that particular reason. Is I like to focus on the process, and when I teach, I like to teach people or students to focus on the process, not the project. So I would say that's the biggest thing. That's the biggest thing that has changed for me as I've done this over the years, as I've taught, and I've had that opportunity to teach others that very wise thing that Wayne Apgar told me once. It's to focus on the process, not the project. So as far as a project would go, that has shaped me to think that, generally speaking, most people say, it used to be said all the time, oh, if you want to start practicing blacksmithing, make a nail. How many people actually forge nails these days, though? How useful are those? They're useful, but they don't get the full length and breadth of a good starter project. So my recommendation is stuff like this fire poker you've got here. Anything that incorporates multiple parts of multiple parts of the forging fundamentals. So a fire poker, you're going to have to do some spreading of material like in this. You're going to have to learn how to bend some material. You're going to have to learn how to weld some material, draw out some material, twist material. Maybe it's a punched hole instead of on the end here. You might have to upset some material. You might have to punch some material. You may split it and create a heart on the end of it, so you get to practice splitting and bending and all these various things that lead to your development as a smith. And for me, that's a lot more valuable than make a nail. Okay, well, you learned how to put a point on the end of a bar, and then you learned how to make a really cruddy nail to begin with. And it takes you thousands of them before you can make a decent head on a nail. So that's how I would say that has changed. So I don't go so much more with, if you want to learn blacksmithing, make a nail first. I don't go like that. I go more towards make a fire poker, make a meat skewer, make a hook, make a wall hook of some kind. Those are all really good starting projects and baseline projects for beginners to do. No matter the age. What's up?
Let's see here. A couple of super chats. Mikey
Thank you all so much.
Mikey Novak sent a $5 super chat and says, have you ever done anything with stump anvils, meaning the small anvils with a spike on the end that you drive into a log? And thank you for your videos.
Well, you're very welcome. I have worked on some stump anvils at a master smith's shop, Tom Latinay in Pepin, Wisconsin. He has some stump anvils, and yes, I've done some work on those before. They make a pretty good anvil, as long as you're doing small work. I wouldn't trust them to really big, heavy hammering or pounding. That's not really what they're meant for.
Chris Schaefer sent a $10 super chat and says, do you know anything about Unreal Engine? And if so, can you please start making those videos too? Because these other content providers put me to sleep.
No, I don't know anything about Unreal Engine. I have no clue what that is. But maybe I will make videos. I don't know. Who knows? I'm still young yet. Kinda. I'm kind of a little bit old and salty in a way.
Would you like another comment, or you need a moment to focus?
Go ahead. You can give me another comment there.
Scoundrel sent a $10 super chat and said, in some stroke of coincidence, last night I decided to fully pursue my dream of forging as a career, and I stumbled across this stream the next day, seemingly by chance. Crazy. Any big pointers?
Pretty cool. Okay, well, pointer. Take it slow. Don't get discouraged. Rome is not built in a day. All those cliche words for you there. That would probably be my the start of my best advice. If you're wanting to do this as a career, the best thing I can explain about doing blacksmithing as a career, and some people get into this thinking, as I'm sure that you are, or, you know, a lot of people do. Can they see that okay?
Uh-huh.
So there we have it. Nice little curve to it. Obviously it's too hot for me to put my hand on, but see, it should fit the hand just nicely. Just like so. And there's a secret to that, and it ties into this comment, actually. Let me set that off to the side.
All right.
So we'll call that good on that little project there. So this ties into this comment actually perfectly. There are a lot of smiths that fail at making this a business for one reason or another. But most of what that comes down to is, most of the fails that come into this is the joy being sucked out of what you do. You may be working at a job you don't like, or work with a boss that you hate, and you think, hey, this is going to solve my problems. Look at these guys who made a $30,000 chef knife. I could do that. And so you think that by quitting your job and those sort of stuff, that you're just going to step off into this and money's just going to get flung at you. And that's just not the case. Blacksmithing is a slow, old craft. And just like that, business is a very slow, arduous, old building process. It's not quick. No money that's made quickly ever lasts. You may have a rush of orders, everybody and their cousin telling you that you're the best, and they're going to buy from you, and it's going to be great, and then all those people disappear. This is just the cold, hard truth of just doing sales, right? Business. So the advice I have to you getting into it is temper your expectations, not only of yourself, but of your business and where you think it ought to be at within a week, a month, a year, or whatever. You have got to give it time to breathe and grow. You've got to give yourself time to breathe and grow as a smith and as a business professional. Because there's going to be people who are going to, yank your chain. There is. There are going to be people who say one thing and do a completely other. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. And it's going to hurt. Oh, it's going to hurt the finances. We've had rug pulls on us so many times, haven't we, honey? Mm-hmm. Way back in the day. And when you're only making $600 a month, right, doing this, and you need, you could have used $900 a month, but you're only making $600 a month, and then somebody cancels a $100 job on you, right? Those moments, they're tough. But you got to tighten the belt strap one more notch and keep pushing on through. So it takes a lot of grit and things like that. A lot of people have gotten into the craft just because it's a fad. It's fashionable to do so right now, to just jump into the craft and, I'm going to be making Damascus. There are so many people who make Damascus today, it's not even funny. And none of it's good. The majority of it is just, ugh. It's no rhyme nor reason. It's got a pretty pattern on it. There's no clinical difference to it than something you could buy in India. And so work on what you want to do, what you would like to pursue, and what you would like to offer to the world, and be excited and amped up around that. If you want to do Damascus, you want to do knives, you want to do whatever the fashionable thing is, that's fine, but that's not a good long-term business strategy because you don't love it or you're not passionate about it. And so when the fad dies, or the client cancels on you, or you're not going to be able to make rent and you had to go take an odd job and you had to go stand at the day job place, right? Where they hire day labor, right? Just so this way you can make rent or pay the bills. You're going to attribute that to blacksmithing as, oh, well, you just can't make it as a blacksmith. No, you need to analyze your intentions of where you want to be, where you foresee yourself being in the craft, and stick with it, and stick with it, and stick with it. Post and ghost, post and ghost, post and ghost. Make something and post it. Make something and post it. Forge it and post it. Forge it and post it. Forge it and post it. And keep being that little engine that could. Mm-hmm. Keep chugging right along, pushing out product, and you're going to have stuff that you think's grand and everybody dislikes and no one's buying. You have got to be able to die to yourself in that moment, put your pride away, and make something that people want to purchase, because that is the business of it. If you do that, this will never become a drudgery for you. And that's what happens. You can start looking around right now. Facebook Marketplace, that's a good place. Blacksmithing sell groups, right? Things like that. You're going to start seeing all these like complete forges for sale. The forge, the anvil, the vise, the hammers, the tongs, everything. Clearance sale, buy me out. And you can tell that this was all stuff that was purchased with the intention to do this as a profession. And then they realize how hard that is, because they had no other ambition other than they saw on Instagram somebody sold a knife for $20,000. Never mind that guy's been at it for 35 plus years. Never mind that he's the white whale of the industry, right? And most knife makers never sell a knife for over $100. That's the 90%ers, right? Never sell for over $100. But you get caught up in that. And I certainly did myself too, didn't I, hun? Mm-hmm. I did. When I first got in it, I thought it was just going to be blacksmithing every day. I didn't need to quote. I didn't need to do any computer stuff. Ugh. Roy, don't do buttons. No, I'm the smith. I'm the blacksmith. The mighty man is he. Standing under the sprawling mulberry tree, right? That was me. Yeah, ooh. And then I realized there's a lot more to it than that. There's weekends taken up. There's holidays consumed. When we get off this stream, not only will we not be going to bed right away, we will be feeding ourselves. We will be checking in on all emails, answering complaints, comments, concerns from people. We will be getting back with clients, quote work, everything, and we'll probably work on that until we turn our peepers off at about 11:30 to 12 o'clock tonight. We will, won't we? It's like our routine. Not every night, but the majority of nights. That's the way it works. But we're happy to do it. We're glad to do it because this is our passion. We love this. This is what we love to do. And so if you can do that, and I'm soapboxing it now, I know. I'm up on my thing. The comments have done moved on, right? So, but if you're passionate about it, you can put in those late nights. You can find balance and keep that balance with your family and not turn into a big, mean, nasty ogre because something didn't go your way out in the shop. If you're doing it for the wrong reasons, you won't find that balance. Final tip on that. I'll just give one final tip on that. Jessica's giving me that eye like, shut up, Roy.
I'm not making no faces.
The comments have moved on. So, final tip on that. I just want to make this. And it'll sound sexist, and I just don't care. So if this sounds sexist to you, grow up. Grow a pair. So this is the way it works. I was told this by a good friend of mine. His name's Dennis Gilkey, and great guy. He gave me this piece of advice, and it's always held true. If you want to sell your ironwork, are we at the main cam?
Yes, of course.
If you want to sell your ironwork or your ironwares or anything that you are selling, you make it for the woman of the house. You make your fire pokers to fit a female's hands. You make your when you pick up something to the touch, it should not be sharp or abrasive to your hand at all. If you're lucky enough to have a wife or a soft-hand husband, hand it to them and see. But you make it to fit a woman. And the reason why, and there's actual data behind this, there's statistics behind this that back this up wholeheartedly. Women do 90% of the shopping in the household, period. The interior decorating, the shopping, most of the buying decision making is done by about 90% women. And I'd say that's about true, isn't it, hun? Out of the decade plus we've been doing this as a profession, how many of our clients have been men? Just outright men. Just like,
I don't know, maybe 25%. It's hard to tell sometimes.
I'd say even less than that.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, your industry will change this, you know, depending on what you're into, right? If you're selling butcher knives, maybe that industry has a higher male ratio than there is female ratio. But it's truth. If you're taught about interior design, interior decorating, things like that, stuff that's going to be picked up and grabbed, and you can try this at your next craft show. Make a rough item, make a smooth item, and the smooth item will sell, because as you watch, the women will come up to the booth, they will look at it, they will pick it up, they will decide on it in that moment. And if they set it down and walk on, it's because it was wrong for them. It sat wrong, it was whatever. The guy might come over and say, hey, that's cool, you're forging, that's a neat thing. Well, I'm a welder myself. He'll talk your ear off, but he's cheap. He's going to have the opinion of, I'd do that myself. And he's going to walk on. The woman's going to say, ooh, whoa, hey, I could use that. And we both know you, Earl. You're never going to make me anything nice like that, right? Mm-hmm. And that's the conversations we've seen play out, haven't we, hun? Mm-hmm. Thousands of times at our booth. So make it to fit a woman. So this handle, dun-dun-dun-dun, go to camera number 2. Uh-huh. There's a point. Long way around the gate. This is a little small for me. Obviously, I still can't touch it. It's still too hot. It's right in between. This bulge here would need to go back a little further, but then that would make it look weird. But if Jessica were to come put her hands over on this, I bet you it would fit her perfectly. And that's why. And the edges are somewhat rounded to it. I would take the time if I were going to sell this, and I would actually smooth this up with a bit of sandpaper, kind of like a shoe buffer guy, You just kind of take a piece of sandpaper over the whole surface so it's really nice, slick, and smooth and feels good in the hand. If this was just a regular hoop round, it would feel rough to hold on to. And it won't sell nearly as many as something like this, where it's nice, it's a nice, soft, easy thing for someone to grab, and it feels good in the hand. So there you go. There's your advice. That was a long one, long-winded. I just see so many guys doing this, and I actually, unfortunately, there's a lot, and I think they just say it to people to begin with. Unfortunately, there's a lot of older smiths out there to tell people, or guys that tried it once, tell people that there's no money to be made in blacksmithing. Oh, you couldn't, you can't earn your living. Those days are dead. You couldn't earn your living in it. I have earned a dang good living for a lot of years, decade plus doing smithing. I consider myself very fortunate, very blessed to be where we're at. Not everybody makes it this far or earn as much, but we earn a really good living for blacksmithing. And so, yes, it can be done. And you can start with almost nothing, like I did. Mm-hmm. Go ahead, Jess.
Yeah.
Turn it over to you.
I
Sorry.
was kind of like, whoa, in awe.
Huh?
Scoundrel had also sent a $20 super chat and said thank you for the videos.
Very welcome. Thank you for the super chat.
All right. You want some more questions? Let's see. It's almost 7 o'clock.
Okay.
So let's see.
How far from 7?
3
We've
minutes.
already given everything
3 minutes.
away except for the gas forge.
The gas forge and a few stickers.
Yep.
So I got a few more questions here I've set aside. So we could either save those till the very end, or
Go ahead.
we could
throw them out.
Okay.
Real quick.
Coco Talbert, do you recommend waxing or oiling the anvil to keep it from rusting?
Work it. That's what I recommend. Don't oil, wax, or anything else. Use it. The more you use it, the more it'll do. I don't try to protect candle wax drippings or oil drippings from coating stuff, right? Like if I make a spatula or something like that and I coat it with oil, if it drips on the anvil, that's about all the oiling that Olga gets. If I'm going to be gone for a really long time or I'm not going to be using it a lot, I might spray it down with a little bit of WD-40, but that's about it. As far as oiling or waxing, no point. Use it. If an anvil's rusty, a rusty anvil is an unused anvil. So.
Joshua Alk-Annie says, advice on making a slit chisel. I'll be making one in class tomorrow.
Advice on a slit chisel. Forge thick, grind thin. That would be my advice on it. You can always grind it a little thinner. It's really hard to forge something, especially if you're just starting out, and heat treat something that's gotten too thin. So don't overwork the material. Get the base of what you're wanting, of the drawing out and the general shape, and then go to grinding after that to take it after it's been heat treated, to take it to however sharp you would like it to be. I'm sure your instructor will go over all that, and they may even differ slightly from me, but that's my preference for beginners. Good.
Smokey J Films says, what's your favorite metal to forge with?
Favorite metal to forge with? Wrought iron. So that's my favorite. Hands down. I love wrought iron, love working with it, love how well it welds to itself. Yeah, love every part of it. So I would say wrought iron. That's my favorite metal to work with.
David Reednor says, can we look forward to more blacksmithing cooking videos?
Haha, there might be. We'll see. Come spring, summer, who knows?
Joshua Welch says, who makes your post vise?
Don't know. It's an old post vise. I got it long ago when I first got into smithing. That was a Christmas present, my second year in blacksmithing, from my folks. Cost them $210 from a guy who's since passed away by the name of Robert Cruikshank. Everybody knew him as Honest Bob. Honest Bob Cruikshank. Honest Bob, the working man's friend. And so that'll be with me now till the day I die. And then the story will be lost and it can be passed on to somebody else.
Steve Nolan says, what project do you want to do but have not yet?
Ooh. Oh, so many. So many. I have, I have a bunch. I have a chest I want to make, a tool chest, Jacob Marley door knocker. I've got all sorts of Baroque ironwork, French Baroque ironwork that I've wanted to undertake and do. Yeah, a ton of stuff. I don't know. I mean, I would say that's probably the most. That's probably the most up there. And what's funny is that question that leads into a thing that I have a problem with. At some point, you have to tell yourself, no, it's fancy enough, right? Like it's good enough. It's like, because what I'll do is I'll design something and then I'll sit and bake on that idea for a little bit. And then I'll come back to it and I'll add more elements to it because I think it looks fancier. Before you know it, I've drawn or I've doodled something that is way outside the realm of my capabilities of both time and maybe even skill level, to be honest. And I can doodle, you can doodle things better than oftentimes you can make them or forge them or have the time to develop the tools for in order to make certain processes of that to work out. So that's been a big hindrance for me for undertaking projects that I really want to do. It's because I have a tendency to try to make everything to the absolute max limit. And that comes from many, many, many years working for clients and trying to do my absolute best and be super meticulous about every little thing for them. But that doesn't really pan out when someone's not paying you for it right up front and you're your own client, I guess, or boss.
The Novice Craftsman says, have you ever done any whitesmithing, such as making gold jewelry and such?
Never done any gold jewelry. I have made some silver spoons for a client once. I'm going to bring this over.
All right.
All right.
Mikey Novak says, just rewatched your drill-powered trip hammer video. Do you still use it or stick to hand or another power hammer?
So the drill-powered trip hammer video, my DaVinci cam hammer that I've released so long ago, that has had so many different people's takes on that. It's great. My brother actually has that now. It sits in my brother's shop, and he uses it on occasion. I don't. I have my main shop power hammer that I built. I also got a video on that, and I've got plans for that as well. And that's my only power hammer currently in my shop. All the other videos and the things that I shot and made and plans, those were all to take and show what could be done with the materials that you had on hand in your own shop, and no, you didn't have to go out and buy some $80,000 machine in order to overcome some physical limitations or difficulties. So that's why I made that whole series on power hammers in the first place, and designed a whole bunch and made up plans for them. So yeah, so most of those have already been sold. None of them has been dismantled. I've given them away and sold them away. So that's it. That's on that.
Scoundrel says, well, I feel better after hearing, as long as it's a passion. I've been wanting to do this for a decade. I have no question of that. Appreciate all the advice now to save money. Haha. Yep.
Good. Yep. Save up the money for the low times. Save up money in the high times for the low times. I'm glad that that's helpful to you. As long as it's a passion for you, you'll do well. Just stick with it. Keep your nose to the grindstone. Keep working at it, and you'll get there. And you'll have that sense of pride and accomplishment in the end, and it's well worth it out the other side. God bless you on your journey. So.
Rigid Ironworks sent a $25 super chat and says, Roy, have you ever disclosed the cost of material for a job when a client questions your bid?
No. I walk away from the job. So if a client has called into question your material cost or your labor costs or things like that, I mean, I akin that to them asking you what color underwear you're wearing. So you don't need to take and show all your cards. You don't need to put everything out on the table for them. That means that they suspect you of dishonest practice. And if that's the case, your pride and you've got to stand up with a backbone of yourself and walk away. Be happy to walk away from a job, because it's not worth your good name or reputation to work with a person like that. because they're trying to lowball you. They're trying to find why it's not $20 when you're charging $200.
Yep.
That's it. Because
There's some
price of
customers
materials
that are really
change.
obstinate.
Huh?
I said there is some customers that are really obstinate, and you just have to avoid them, even
Yep.
if it costs, even if you have to cancel their order
Yeah.
and you're taking a hit.
Let me roll back on that a little bit. I still stand by what I said. There was a time that I took on people. I am in a unique place right now in my career in smithing and in my business that I basically cherry pick my jobs. There's people I'll work with. They'll get so many emails back and forth, and I don't care what the amount of money is. If they start becoming even, I sense that it's getting slightly bit difficult, much to Jessica's chagrin, I'll be like, shut it down, we're not doing it. Because I just won't do it. I'm at that point right now that I can pick and choose work. That's a very blessed place, and that's not everyone. And so there was a time when, again, lights need to be paid, bills need to be paid. I'd do whatever. Dance, monkey, dance. I'd dance. I'd do the cutest little jig you ever did see for whoever. And so I wouldn't be as, if you would have asked decade ago, Roy, that question, I'd be like, well, you know, you kind of have to kind of like, you would maybe kind of try to figure out a way around and maybe tell them and compare some other prices, and you would try to convince them, right? If that was your only job on the ticket for the month or whatever, of course, you've got to pay your bills, right? So, you know, I would have, my answer would be different. I can only speak from my perspective point now. And my perspective point now is that for the amount of time and headache that person is going to waste for you, you could have been happier doing other things and been brighter and had a much more chipper personality going on. I will say this as my last little caveat to that, because it's a big topic. If you are in sales, which you are, if you are a professional blacksmith, it is your job to educate the customer on what is involved in your work. That's your job. And it starts at the time they click on a listing, or they read a bio about you, or they look at a product that they saw on Facebook or Instagram or wherever, or Pinterest. It is your job to present yourself as a professional, to give a little bit of a history about yourself, of where you are and your honesty and how you're going to take care of them. And it's your job to educate them. Educate them on what exactly goes into a piece. Because if you're asking somebody $80,000 for a railing and they can go to Home Depot and pick the same thing up for $1,300, and all you're offering them is some plain bars, right, and just a simple grab rail, they have every right to ask you, without you getting offended about it, your pricing. Like, how the heck do you figure? What is it made of? Gold? Right? Just like you would. If a plumber came in your house and gave, you know, like, oh, you had a leaky faucet, and they just turned it off, turned the faucet handle to the right, and turned the leaky faucet off on you, and they're like, okay, that'll be $950. You'd be like, in what world ever, right? So you have to be conscientious of that, and you have got to be able to clearly describe and explain and educate the customer what is involved in your piece. So, not to get into too many specifics, there's a current piece of work that we are quoting out right now for the shop that is going to be anywhere from $2,000 to, say, $5,000, depending on which route the client goes. They have a lot of questions. They've had a lot of things. We've had a lot of back and forths, haven't we, hun? Mm-hmm. Because, again, it's between $2,000 to $5,000. So that's a lot of money, right? You know, it's a lot of money. There's a certain amount of trust we have to develop. And so why is it that expensive? Because the materials alone are going to be in the thousands of dollars in just the materials. Am I going to give them my exact contact and where I got my quote from and who did I talk to and well, couldn't you gotten it for a better price? And nope, that's my business. Nobody dictates to me my business, right? I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. I say the materials are this, it's this. If they say I don't believe you, they don't trust you, and you should back away right then and there. That's the biggest way to take and show that you're a trustworthy individual and you're not just out for their money. Back away. Walk away from it. Say, well, sorry you feel that way, I've been in business this long, I've been doing da-da-da-da-da. Again, educating the customer, what's involved, and say, I would rather not do this job at this time. Maybe contact me in a few months if I'm available then, and walk away from the job. It'd be a lot easier on you in the long run. I imagine the comments are interesting on that one.
I'm afraid everybody's been doing gas forge comments ever since you put that up there.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Well, good. I'm glad you all are still thumbing it away, giving YouTube that data that they love. Oh. Should we poll for this thing already?
I think we should.
That way we can lose over half our audience?
Yeah.
What do you think?
Keep the hardcore audience till the end.
We'll keep the hardcore audience. So before I draw for this, I would like to say to the 3/4 of you that are going to bounce out of this video and sneak out the back door right as we finish drawing the name for the gas forge, it was nice to meet you. Glad to have you on the stream. Hope you come back. Hope you hit the subscribe button, jingly bell for notifications, all that jazz. Be sure to check out our website, blacksmithingblanks.com, if you're interested in some blanks. And now that you've listened to that spew, let's get whittling everybody out and get down to the die-hard subscribers, shall we?
Yes.
Ready? 1, 2, 3. Who do we have, Jess?
All right, we have Solo with "This would be awesome for me to learn blacksmithing."
Solo, right?
Solo. That's
Solo. Congratulations. Solo, right? Is it like so?
Solo.
S-O or just
All one word.
S-O-L-O?
Yeah.
One word. Solo, like Han Solo, right?
That's right. You will have to provide us with a photo ID when you contact us to claim it.
Yep, and that's all described in the description, the little downwards triangle. Click on that. In the description's our contact email for you and all winners. Oh, again, this is the first of 12 that we're giving away, so we'll have 11 more. One each month. We'll be giving away another one of these Mr. Volcano gas forges. It will come to you as a kit, so it's not going to be this whole fully put together thing. It wouldn't ship nice that way. It's actually going to be coming from Mr. Volcano when we send it out to you. So be sure to check, be sure to continue checking in on the streams at your chance to take and win one of these little gas forges, huh?
That's right.
Hopefully everybody's enjoyed this first stream, huh?
Yes, yes.
Now how many people we got?
All right, somebody's like, there they go.
Now that Solo won the gas forge for this.
See, I'm waiting. It's not updating. It still says 226. It has to be lower than that.
226.
222. Okay, they're still around.
Hey!
They have a little delay.
They haven't all snuck out yet. It's funny to watch people drop like flies. So it's like, and I don't think he'll notice me leave. And then you had the same idea that 500 other people had, or 50 other people in our case had. They're like, yeah, he won't notice me leave either.
Tachron Maddox says, oh, the number just went up. I don't know. It's at 221.
Uh-oh. Jumping around on us. So, all right, Jessica, why don't you tickle these ladies and gentlemen's ears with a poem?
Yes,
Oh,
I shall.
I will be back here in a moment.
Okay, all right. This brief intermission. Let's see here. Okay, so the last couple of streams since Christmas, I have been doing a poem towards the end of the live stream. And this one I did not plan ahead appropriately, but I was able to find one on anvilfire.com. For those who are familiar with that website, they have all kinds of stuff on blacksmithing. One called Under the Spreading Cyber Tree, and it was written by Robert Quenchcrack Nichols. And I thought this was kind of interesting little spin to, like a modern spin of, Under the Spreading Chestnut Tree by Longfellow. So, it begins, Upon his spreading derriere, the wannabe smithy sat, reading some pages by blacksmithing sages, said, I want to try some of that. He Googled just right for a blacksmithing site. It quickly returned more than 10. He randomly clicked on one that he picked and landed in old guru's den. He read all the posts, the questions and boast. The terms were really quite weird. Flatters and fullers and vices with post. And who's the guy with the beard? He went to the pub, a bristling hub of chatter well laden with pith. They welcomed him gladly, but still he felt badly. He was just a wannabe smith. Come in and sit down and join in the fun and tell us about what you make. Where are you from and what do you do? He feared they would all learn he was a fake. I don't have a forge, I don't have an anvil, don't know why I'm here right now. But smithing's an art that I'd like to start if someone would just show me how. And so he began, he walked before he ran and learned what tools he would need. A leg vise, an anvil, a forge, and a handful of hammers and something to read. To iForge he went, his cash was all spent, he needed to make something fast. To think that all that is hammered from scrap, it is something that I know will last. When problems he had or work turned out bad, he just knew where he could go. On Anvil Fire pages, the wisdom of sages, for opinions of those in the know. For copper or stainless, or metals quite nameless, to weld it, forge, or heat treat it, answers were given, hairs often riven, he quickly learned what he needed. So loud was his labor that soon his near neighbor came by to check out the racket. To get that hot, you must heat it a lot, and then you just whack it. The lure of tradition, the heat of perdition, the sound of the anvil's ring, captured another, a blacksmithing brother. Now two shared this marvelous thing. Connected at long last to history's dark past, obscured by many a myth, through the sweat and the smoke, their ancestors spoke, we'll live through you, blacksmith. So off to your seat, there's an iron to beat, and sparks to fill up the sky. You cannot find out what smithing's about unless you give it a try. I thought that was a fun poem.
Is that it?
It is, yes.
Oh, that's pretty good.
And I also have a short one also called A Blacksmith's Prayer pulled up. This one was adapted by Ray Smith in 1999, but the original author is unknown. So the blacksmithing's prayer goes like this. My fire is extinct, my forge is decayed, by the side of the bench my old vices laid. My anvil and hammer lie gathering dust, my powerful bellows have lost all their thrust. My coal is now spent, my iron's all gone, and my last nail's been driven, and my day's work is done. That's a nice closing one.
That's pretty good, huh?
Tim O'Connor says, nailed it, Jess.
Can they hear me?
Go ahead.
Test, test, test.
Yeah.
You good? Good. All right. So, there you have it. It's a good way to finish a stream, I think, huh?
Yeah, it is.
With a poem. So, real quick before everybody bounces out, I just want everybody to give a good round of applause to all of the super chat, the donators that have been in the stream, even to yourself for sticking around this long. Give yourself a pat on the back. If you got a loved one next to you, have them pat you on the back for sticking around so long, and even pat them on the back for you can now turn the channel to something else that they actually care to watch. But yes, thank you. Make sure you give all the people that super chat tonight a good round of applause, and all the channel members and everything like that. We couldn't do it without you here on YouTube with all this. The camera equipment, everything else, the production, stuff that we put up. Like, again, it's all community funded. All these giveaway items, everything that we got in tonight's stream will go a long way, and all the shipping that we will have to do. Going on and going forward. So going on and going forward, quick little updates for things like that. I plan on having other items. We're still working on getting that all up together and going. But we'll have more items than just blanks to give away, preferably some more blacksmith tools and all sorts of stuff that we can take and give away this year, along with the gas forges that we're doing in the Year of the Forge. So be sure to check out our next live stream. The next live stream that we're going to be doing will actually just be a forging live stream. Won't be any giveaway. We only do one giveaway stream a month, per month, and one forging stream every month. And those are always on a Friday night, aren't they, honey?
They are. And don't forget, they reminded us, we said we were going to give away some stickers too.
Yes, we were going to give away some stickers too. So thank you for that. So let's go ahead and draw for the very first sticker pack we're going to give away, Jess.
Yes.
You want me to ring the anvil in the whole bit?
The whole bit.
All right, let's do it. So we're going to go ahead and draw for the first sticker pack real quick. Who do we have?
We have Tim O'Connor with stickers.
Tim O'Connor. Congratulations. Get with us through the contact link in the description and we'll get you some stickers sent out. All right, we ready?
Uh-huh.
All right. Who do we have?
Let's see. We have it Robert Lannis with sticker pack.
Hey, Robert Lottis. Congratulations. We'll be sending you a sticker pack, sir. You know what to do. Now let's do another one.
All right.
Okay? Who do we got?
We have Brent Boots with stickers.
Brent Boots, congratulations. You're the third winner of a sticker pack there. Go ahead and get with us through the contact email in the description. So I do want to leave, speaking of that, giveaways and everything like that, we did have a spammer that happened to take and get on who was a scammer. They were a WhatsApp scammer, and they were trying their darndest to get some of you to go over there and click and give them your personal details. So, so far, YouTube has done their job and has taken them away now, finally. Who knows when they will be back and in what channel their name will be in the future. But there was some confusion about our giveaway streams or our giveaway and how the giveaway was going to be done in one of our announcement videos. We were pretty clear in the announcement video, but again, they commented in the comment section that, hey, you won, get with me. You're a short list of, you were drawn or selected from our short list of winners. They said a couple different variations of that comment. I just want to go ahead and make it real clear to anybody who's still watching, or all those that may watch this on the replay and skip to the end here to see who won. We will never, and I do mean never, contact you about you winning. You've got to be here while it's live. We have got to be live. You've got to be here actively commenting, and we pick from those people. That's it. We won't get through WhatsApp or over on, go get with us on Facebook or Instagram or wherever. No, we do our live streams and our giveaway lives right here on Friday nights. It's the second Friday. It's the second live stream of the month that we do our giveaway lives at. And you've got to be here and be actively commenting in order to have a chance to win anything. And then I think this goes without saying, this is a free giveaway. So you don't pay anything. You don't pay shipping. You don't pay the cost of the item. There's nothing. There's no racket. There's no scam here. There's nothing. This is a pure-hearted intention from Jessica and I, and has been for the last 5 years, of us trying to give back to the blacksmithing community, us trying to help you all out there getting started in smithing. And that's what this whole thing has been about, and that's what it will stay about. So there's no, you don't have to purchase anything. Again, you have to verify your details with us, but that's through our actual contact email. That's through our selected contact email, and that's the only way that you win anything, okay? So don't click on anything that anybody offers you, links or otherwise. We're not on WhatsApp. Even if people poses us, we won't be. Capiche? Hopefully that's clear.
Capiche.
If not, reference the video.
Hi. Milk Dud says hi to everybody.
He does, don't he? He's like, hey, warmth. All right, questions, comments before I leave? Or are they all drying up? Everybody taking off?
Let's see. I think a lot of people are saying bye.
Okay. Oh, well, if we're good.
Yeah.
All right, we're good then. So thank you everybody for coming to this live stream. I had fun making the poker myself, and I hope I showed that off good enough. We'll go to camera number 2 one more time.
All right.
I'll showcase that off one more time. You see that there?
Mm-hmm.
So we made a nice little fire poker here with a very simple handle. Just did a nice pokety poke.
Mm-hmm.
So there you have it. Hopefully they can see that all right.
Yeah, that shows it good.
So there you go. My twist ended up pretty center. Not quite. Obviously there's more mass on that end, but it's going to be mostly center. So it's pretty good. So there you go. So that's how you do it. A little simple, or how I would do it anyhow. Thank you all for being here. Thank you for joining the stream. And we will catch you on the next one. Thanks so much for watching. Bye now.